Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast. This is the Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Trader Cobb Crypto Show. Today's show is brought to you by TraderCobb.com, where you can go across and find all of your crypto trading education needs. Today, I've got another great guest with me from an interesting project out of here in Australia that I'm very keen to speak more about. His name is Joshua Marriage. Is that correct, Joshua? Have I pronounced that correct?
Yeah, look, in high school, it was marriage, and yeah, it is French, but we'll just go with marriage.
No problem. And Joshua is the Australian Coordinator of Cloakcoin, and he also hosts a podcast of his own called HODL Cast, which is for new investors to get involved. Now, Joshua, thank you so much for being on the show with me today. First of all, do you want to just give yourself a little bit of an introduction as to what you're doing and how you got into the space?
Yeah, for sure, Craig. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. I'm basically the Australian Coordinator for Cloakcoin. That takes up most of my time. We're a privacy-focused cryptocurrency that launched in 2014, and then as well to help me with networking and getting new people involved in the space, I've started up HODL Cast, which is basically where we talk crypto for the average Joe and try to simplify the initial inroads for new investors.
Yeah, nice. I think there needs to be more of that sort of stuff. That's kind of what we try and champion in the space. So that's excellent. So from where you are now to where you were, I mean, when did you enter into blockchain crypto? What was the reason for getting in for you? You just want to sort of start from the very beginning. What got you into crypto, and when was that, mate?
Yeah, for sure. My story is probably quite typical in some regard, with having a very early interest in the space and then being maybe a little bit afraid of getting involved. So I probably heard about Bitcoin for the first time back in 2014, 2015, around Christmas. I'd just actually gotten divorced at that time. So most of my investment funds were definitely tied up and was going through settlement. So I was sort of on a bit of a journey of enlightenment, we'll call it, reading a lot of science fiction and sort of trying to get out and about and figure out what's going on with life. So funnily enough, I was actually reading a book called Time Enough for Love by Robert A. Heinlein. And this is where it gets a bit uncanny for the usual entrance into the space, but it was basically a story about how our memories and thoughts and the value that we had in our mind was commoditized, and it follows the story of a guy who was the oldest living human. And that really got me thinking about privacy, and privacy is actually what led me into the crypto space. And I quickly learnt that Bitcoin wasn't private and it was public blockchain. And then I started to find coins like Monero, Zcash, and eventually Cloakcoin, and didn't actually enter the market until mid last year, so around June 2017. But I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I'm sure we're all very glad that we did once we eventually got there. So your journey of self-discovery, and you sort of found it in a bit of a trying period of your life. So that's good that helped you through it. And obviously, investing in the space in those early days is a very, very good thing. Now, where you are now, you're a full-time participant in the market now, aren't you?
Yeah, I sure am. So it's been quite a tumultuous and exciting journey, but I actually started out as an electrician and then got into engineering and involved in the energy markets and analytics. And it's kind of been, even though it's a off-kilter pathway to get into crypto, I've found that I've definitely developed quite a lot of skills that have helped me along the way. And quite recently, about a month ago, I was able to completely drop any other employment and just focus on working with Cloakcoin and podcasting full time and doing the odd trade here and there when I can.
Okay, so Cloakcoin. Let's get into Cloakcoin. You're involved in Cloakcoin. You just said that before, but I mean, how did you get involved in Cloakcoin? You want to tell us a little bit about how your journey from reading books on sci-fi into Bitcoin and now working with the Cloakcoin team all came about?
Yeah, I guess as someone who values privacy quite highly, and also financial freedom in the more general sense, I was definitely on the hunt for different privacy coins. They do make up a fair portion of my portfolio. So I was researching one day, came across Cloakcoin as, you know, an up and comer. But something that really stood out about it was it had been around since July 2014. Now, back in the early days, it did actually go through some troubles where they had issues with development team and a few things that sort of almost brought the project to its knees. But luckily, there were a few community members and some developers that were really quite committed and really believed in the vision. And they managed to keep it alive, rebrand it, create the Enigma payment system, which is a off-chain mixing service which anonymizes the transactions. And basically, just after looking into them for a couple of months, I eventually decided to invest and got in below a couple of dollars, and it rode up nicely very soon after I invested. So that got me even more interested. But I was very active with the community, and I actually found there were quite a few Australians involved. Some people up in Queensland from where I am originally, up in North Queensland, a few people on the Gold Coast. And I just really got talking to these people and found out that as someone who values community, I could really relate. Little bit of background on the community side. I've had a couple of online ventures in the past. One was called Beardspo. It was a men's grooming community, which grew into a bit of an online commerce venture, and a few viral YouTube videos and a small documentary on ABC TV here in Australia.
Wow.
But yeah, I'd shaved the beard, new lease on life, and just was excited to get involved in crypto. So I started off doing a few blogs here and there, caught the attention of the Cloakcoin team, and then we sat down and discussed developing the Australian and the Pacific market, so looking at the APAC region. And yeah, it seemed like the right fit. So I joined the team and dropped my job completely and went at it full hog.
Excellent. And I mean, look, with Cloak, is it actually an Australian project, or it just has an Australian sort of following?
It's actually based in Germany. So the majority of the team are in Munich, and I think there's a couple of guys in Berlin. We've got developers in the US, and it's quite a, uncannily enough, it's a distributed team, just like a lot of these distributed projects are. But in terms of Australia, it's just that a lot of people don't realise that we're in a truly burgeoning market here, where there's quite a lot of support from government agencies. There's a lot of organisations that are willing to look into the technology, and we've got some really innovative projects like Living Room of Satoshi, Travel by Bit, and even Bamboo, which is like Acorns, where your spare change gets invested, but instead of in the stock market, it's into crypto. So I think from a broader standpoint, like, Australia is a really good country to be growing crypto and seeking mass adoption. So I think that's where it fits in for Cloak and having quite a few community members down here.
Okay, so let's talk about the privacy coin area, because we know that there's there are some big tokens out there that have got massive market cap. Of course, Cloakcoin is not one of those. It's relatively small right now. Yes, it's seen some massive growth. I mean, it topped out around about $31, $32 back at the start of this year. During that, it rose very, very heavily whilst the rest of the market was falling. Now, what do you see for Cloakcoin as being some key areas that need to be resolved, some hurdles, and what are you guys doing currently to overcome that? Like, make us believe that this is going to work out the way Cloakcoin wants it to work out, and tell us first, what is that vision that Cloakcoin has? Yeah,
definitely. So to start off, there's really quite a misconception amongst the masses, especially within the media, about the purpose of privacy coins. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was hosting some panel discussions at the Bitcoin and Blockchain Fair in Sydney, and we had some government officials from AUSTRAC there, and we had some really interesting conversations with the audience. And it was funny how blunt people's opinion on privacy was. They basically thought that you get privacy coins to buy drugs. You get privacy coins to, purchase hitmen and other illegal services, which, it couldn't be further from the truth. In actual fact, a really good example was laid out by Alex Saunders from Nuggets News, who I know that you're mates with. And he had a really good, really blunt example, actually. He said to the person in the audience that, hey, mate, can I have your Bitcoin address so I can send you some Bitcoin? And the guy says, yeah, here you go. I've sent you that Bitcoin and I've just checked your wallet address and I know exactly how much money you've got. And then that led into a really good discussion from a trading perspective in terms of commercial trade for businesses. Now, in terms of purchasing from a supplier, maybe, selling to a particular organization, if that information were to become public, you'd be giving up a lot of your competitive intelligence. And in terms of trade secrets and having the competitive edge over your competitors, that would be quite difficult. And people think that this would just be done manually, but much like things like Google search rankings and other data-based industries, the blockchains will have very similar services. We've already got blockchain explorers, but there will be automated services that look for insights and provide that insight to companies or individuals who want a competitive edge. So in that regard, trade secrets, commercial competitive intelligence, it is very wise to have privacy cryptocurrencies at some point within your business, and also as an individual, just from the ideological standpoint of, keeping that basic human right. So we're definitely not in support of any black markets or any illegal activity. We only support the use of privacy coins for, they're really beneficial purposes. And we're definitely very passionate about our philosophical standpoint for privacy as well.
So, for a privacy coin to have success, obviously for your coin, for Cloakcoin to be a successful outcome for everybody involved, there needs to be more people using it. So how do you get more people to use it? Have you got any partnerships lined up? Is it, we know that Monero work with certain providers that obviously Monero are probably the largest of the privacy coins. What is Cloakcoin doing right now to try and, other than being on the Trader Cobb Crypto podcast, of course, but what exactly is the plan? What are you guys doing to try and get the world to know about this Cloakcoin, how to use it? Obviously you need to have people that are actually able to pay with it. Effectively, that's the way it's going to have to be worked, or are you using it more as a store of value? What's the general consensus within the Cloakcoin team of what sort of what's a win? What is what's the outcome that you're after, and how do you get it? That's the simple thing is for a privacy coin to be worth anything, it needs to be usable. I need to be able to use it, not just as a place where I can, as you say, do shady shit. It needs to be in a position, and it needs to be in a place where I can actually go, well, I don't need everybody to know that I have X amount, but I can pay for my bills. I can pay for my groceries. I can buy a car. I can do these types of things. Now, you did mention Travel by Bit and Living Room of Satoshi. What have you guys got on the cards, and what's your objective to try and allow people to use Cloakcoin in a practical manner, which will then allow people to see the use case and onboard into the token, creating a larger market cap, making the coin go up in value, which is obviously good for the coin holders, people that were going to use it. Because, if you hold money that you can spend and that money is worth more at the end of the week, that's even better. What's your plan towards that?
Yeah, definitely, mate. You're exactly right. Like in terms of any cryptocurrency where its primary focus is a medium of exchange, user adoption and actual transaction use is very important. It leads to wider adoption. It leads to the utility of the coin actually being worthwhile. So we're very focused on a more of a zoomed out view, and we've been strategizing since I joined the team on how we can develop the market. So from the base of acquiring Cloakcoin, we've had a few good wins lately. We're listed on Binance, we're on Bittrex, Upbit, Livecoin, Cryptopia. CoinSwitch, GoDex, there's plenty, and that's growing. Now, that's the initial inroad. For Australia, I've been in talks with a number of exchanges. Obviously, I can't go into too much detail on that because, in terms of trading and information that I'm allowed to release. But we are definitely on our way to getting a fiat on-road, so we could be purchased for directly for Australian dollars. Same things happening globally. The guys over in Germany and the US are definitely working on very similar strategies. In terms of using Cloakcoin, we've had some recent partnerships announced in real estate and other sectors within Europe. But here in Australia, definitely focusing on tourism and paying of bills. Also, as you mentioned before, I have been in contact with Living Room of Satoshi, been in touch with Travel by Bit, and just hoping to work out with those guys some opportunities for wider adoption. And then same thing with some up-and-coming exchanges in Australia that we're talking to and trying to get creative, thinking about what angle people come into a privacy coin from. One interesting one is actually gold investors. Very much appreciate privacy, amongst other investment forms of investment. So it really is, for me at this point, being quite new to the team. It's been the first month or 6 weeks, I think, that I've officially been a team member. So early days, but I've hit the ground running. This weekend in Melbourne, I'll be the MC for the Bitcoin and Blockchain Fair, which will be at the MCEC, the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre. And I know that you're actually speaking there as well, Craig, so it should be a good chance for us to catch up and hang out a bit. And more than anything, for me, it's about really listening to the community members. And I'm very fortunate to have some passionate followers within the Cloakcoin community who are often filtering me opportunities and coming up with great ideas. So I won't give away too much just yet, but we've got some excellent partnerships and new listings and exciting opportunities in the pipeline. So really looking forward to announcing those.
Excellent, Joshua. Well, he's quite right. I'll be at the Melbourne Bitcoin and Blockchain Fair on the weekend for the Australian Business Forum, where Joshua will be there as well, guys. So if you have any more questions, if you're in the area of Melbourne, come along. I'll be there. Joshua will be there, as will many other great projects and whatnot. Now, Joshua, last question, mate. Whereabouts and how do people find more about yourself and Cloakcoin?
Yeah, for sure, mate. I'm happy to give myself a plug by all means. So in terms of HODL Cast, which is where I mentioned before, we talk crypto for the average Joe. That's at hodl.show. So that's HODL.show. And in terms of Cloakcoin, just head to cloakcoin.com. That's CLOAK coin.com.
Okay, cloakcoin.com and obviously the HODL podcast. Excellent stuff there, Joshua. Thank you so much for your time, mate. I look forward to catching up and actually meeting you when I'm in Melbourne over the weekend and talking more about Cloakcoin, what it's doing and where it's going. It's certainly an interesting project and I look forward to learning more about it. Good luck going forward with the project and with the podcast, and I shall speak to you very soon.
Fantastic, Craig. Thanks very much for having me. And look forward to seeing you in the flesh.
Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the show for today. Don't forget it's sponsored by TraderCobb.com, where you can go across and get all of your crypto trading education needs. Just go to TraderCobb.com and have a look around the website. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.
The Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast. Check out TraderCobb.com because experience matters.